We're on a quest to find the best sandwiches that the United States has to offer. The challenge is that the US is a massive country with a massive amount of sandwiches. Each region, each city, each town even, has their own specialties. So what we're gonna do is find the most popular of those sandwiches, make them from scratch, and then see which one we dig the most. So last episode we explored the American South. This time, we're gonna get into the northeast of the United States. The east side of the US is the oldest region of the US. There's a lot of history, a lot of cool stories, a lot of great food, and of course a lot of fire sandwiches. First on the docket is the Lobster Roll. This is a New England summertime specialty. People in that part of the country absolutely lose their minds over it, and I guess everyone else does too because it's extremely popular. There are two main types of lobster rolls here. We got our Maine style lobster roll and our Connecticut style lobster roll. We're gonna make both. All right, let's get going on our Larry's. Oh yeah, Larry's on ice. Nice and chilled down. So to cook our lobsters, we're gonna stoil them. That's a mixture of steam and boil. See what I did there? Basically, we're gonna take a large pot right here and pour liquid, maybe about 2 inches up, close it, and then, they're gonna kind of be sitting in a simmering liquid, but also they're gonna be steaming on the top. These cook really fast. To start, we got 2 bottles of burr. This can also be water, if you're 12. Some limon, juice those, drop them right in. Got a couple of scallions, garlic, bay leaf, some thyme, fresh, and some good old-fashioned Old Bay. Liberal. We want this to be like as salty as the ocean. Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Look at these guys. Thank you for your service. This only takes about 3 to 5 minutes, like I said, so. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, these will chill down and we'll crack them open in a bit. The top split roll. Very important when talking about lobster rolls, right? This is kind of a mixture between like milk bread and a brioche. I made this recipe for a past video. If you want the whole recipe, it's gonna be in the description below on my website. The whole thing about this is that, they're easy to split apart and they're easy to toast. I mean, look at that crumb. They're squishy, beautifully glazed with that egg wash. So you can just go ahead and slice that off so you can get a nice even toast on it. I might just slice both sides. Maybe a little bit of beer. Nice, nice. Just gonna slice these down the middle, not too deep, just deep enough. Look at how soft that crumb is. Rolls prepped. Let's get back to the lobster. Oof, that is a magnificent beast. Can we get the whole claw? We need to chunkify this before we put it in our sandwiches. I like to leave the tail meat nice and big. Looking good. 2 types of sandwiches here I mentioned before. We got the Maine and the Connecticut. We're gonna start with the Maine. All right, first things first, one of the lobsters. A little bit of mayo, a hint of Dijon mustard, some celery, tiny bump of cayenne, black pepper, of course a little kosher salt. Last but not least, the juice of a lemon. Now we mix. There you go, a cold, basically like mayonnaise lobster salad in the lobster spoon. Shout out cook named Matt, he hooked me up with this a long time ago. Top split bun, nice and toasted. We're gonna pop in some butter lettuce, our cold lobster salad, and that's pretty much it. The Maine lobster roll. Connecticut style. The rest of our lobster, pinch of salt, not too much, lobster's salty. Black pep, chives, and drawn or melted butter. Beautiful. Coat that lobster in the burr. Same thing, top split roll. Gonna spoon our buttery lobster in there. And chives. I really like to hit this thing hard with the onion. Connecticut style, served warm. Next, we got the Italian sub sandwich. Now, sub is actually short for submarine because, it looks like a submarine, I guess. But, I have to say that definition makes the most sense compared to, some people in New York call them heroes. Like, what's a hero? Northeast, a little up north in New England, they tend to call sandwiches grinders. A grinder being a hot sandwich, but still, it adds to the confusion. And then to top it all off, down in New Jersey, in Philly, and a couple other spots, they call them hoagies. So we got sub, hoagie, grinder, hero. I almost forgot that last one. So I actually went to New Jersey not too long ago and checked out a spot called Carmen's Deli. It's a spot you walk in, they got the meat slicers going with all the cold cuts, the cheeses, the chips, the pickles, the whole thing. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much because like here in Chicago, we have a pretty solid Italian subs as well, but this sub was special. It had this crazy spread on it, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I took a bite of it and honestly, it was kind of transcending and a huge memory of that trip. So we're gonna chase after that sandwich today. All right, here on this channel, we live by the mantra, a good sandwich starts with good bread. So here I just went ahead and made some hoagie rolls. Basically, we're gonna open this guy up, take some of the crumb out in order to shove more meat in there to make it basically the perfect delivery system for tubular deliciousness. All right, so we're gonna cut this guy right in half. Beautiful. Let's open her up, see what we got. Nice, wonderful. And you can go ahead and kind of just remove some of this crumb if you want. It just kind of gives you more space to put your ingredients. So we got our bread down. Let's talk meats. So here we have some provolone cheese, Genoa salami, capicola, and mortadella. This one has the pistachios in it. The first ingredient, very, very important, is this hoagie spread here. This is the first time I ever had hoagie spread at this spot. It's basically Italian cherry peppers that have just been minced up with a little bit of olive oil and seasoning, and it's really good. So we're gonna smear this on the bottom kind of as a sauce for our sandwich. It's kind of this like semi-sweet, semi-spicy, peppery, acidic condiment. All right, that looks nice. Now we can start with our meats. We're gonna begin with our Genoa salami. I'm popping the salami on both sides here. Beautiful. Next up is the capicola. Being generous with the meats here. Last but not least, our mortadella, depending on who you ask. And our provolone, just down the middle here, one layer. Now we can move on to our vegetation. Here we got some shreddis, aka just shredded iceberg lettuce, followed by our tomatoes. And what do we do with tomatoes? We season our tomatoes. A little bit of salt down the middle, a little bit of black pep, a pinch of oregano. Then we got some white onion, kiss of allium flavor. These are banana peppers, slightly sweet and acidic, kind of like our hoagie spread, but a little spicier. Then the dressing, what I was talking about, which consists of a little red wine vinegar, and good olive oil. Just a little bit of that over the top too. Speaking of olive oil, I'll be real with you, I live very close to a Greek-owned and operated grocery store, so finding really great imported olive oil isn't something that's necessarily hard to do. But this olive oil is special. After seeing a bunch of influencer types using this stuff, I must admit I was a little skeptical. But Graza is popular for a reason. Now I'm comfortable saying that Graza is more than just a fancy cute bottle. The olive oil itself is primo and the price is affordable. But we can't not talk about the bottle. I mean, look at that thing, it's amazing. I already transfer my cooking oils, my vinegars, other liquids and fluids to squeeze bottles, so I mean, with Graza, you don't even have to worry about that step. Look, easy, clean, accurate oil drizzling is built right into the product itself. This stuff is made in one location with one type of olive. It's made in Spain with Picual olives. There really are dozens of types of olives out there that all have different traits, aging characteristics, and flavor profiles. Finding a good olive oil can take time, it can take trial and error, and it's very expensive trial and error. One reason I dig Graza so much is that they simplify things with the sizzle and drizzle. One olive oil is for cooking, and the other is made for finishing dishes. You don't always want to cook with fresh, unrefined olive oils because the high heat can damage the delicate, vibrant, clean flavors from the oil meant for finishing, so I finish my food with the drizzle. On the contrary, you don't want to cook with some muted, boring, overly filtered, borderline massage oil olive oil when cooking, so that's when the sizzle comes into play. If you want to try Graza out for yourself, you can get $5 off your first order with my code ADAM5. And as a little bonus, you're even going to get a free copy of their new sandwich cooklet, which has a handful of amazing recipes from top-tier restaurants around the country. Okay, back to the vid. All right, time to finish this thing up. Let's put it to bed. Got a nice little piece of parchment here. I'm gonna transfer that over. Ooh, this thing's massive. It's not even gonna fit, but it will help us roll. Oh, that looks quite similar to the one we had in Jersey, if I don't say so myself. Oh, we're dripping? Oh, that's a good sign. Yep, fantastic. This next Sando is incredibly OP, and it better be because it carries the name from which it hails, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, the Philly Cheesesteak. Now, recently I visited Philly. We went to this insane, awesome, open-air Italian market with, you know, fresh cheeses, meats. We got the cannoli, we did the whole thing, open-air fruits and vegetables everywhere, and everybody was like super nice. So the story of the Philly cheesesteak. Legend has it, a dude by the name of Pat Oliver owned and operated a hot dog stand. He wanted to make a quick lunch for he and his boys, so he went across the street to a butcher and got some meat scraps, brought them back to his hot dog stand, chopped up the beef, kind of just scraped it all together with some onions, popped it in a hot dog bun, and boom, the first rendition of the Philly cheesesteak was born. Now, how accurate is that? I'm not 100%, but it sounds nice and it's a bit romantic, and we're all about beefy romance here. Now, this dude Pat would go on to open Pat's, right? Some odd years later, Gino's would open almost basically across the street. And that's kind of where you get that legendary feud between Pat's lovers and Gino's lovers. So I actually didn't go to Pat's, but I parked in front of it and went to Gino's and got a sandwich there. And I can't sit here and tell you that it was that good. The beef was like super dry. The cheese just like wasn't that melted. The bread was soft, and the dude who gave me the sandwich was super nice. But all in all, I wasn't that impressed. So I kind of posted about it, and a bunch of you guys reached out on Instagram and kind of told me, no, you don't want to go there. You want to go to this other spot. And that other spot's a place called Angelo's. And thank God I have you guys, because that sandwich was like actually life-changing. It was, I understand why people are so obsessed with Philly cheesesteaks after that. The hype is real. My trip to Philly taught me a lot of things. One of those things was that there is a lot of jargon when ordering a Philly cheesesteak. So we're gonna talk all about that. Let's make it. All right, so the components of a Philly cheesesteak. Here we have some thinly sliced ribeyes, right? I just went to my Korean market, actually. If you live near a Korean market, that's a hack right here. They sell, you know, Korean barbecue, sort of thinly sliced style beef. So went ahead and picked a bunch of that up. Next, we got the bread. This is the exact same bread as our hoagie rolls. I just put some sesame seeds on it because at Angelo's, this is what their bread looked like, give or take, right? This hoagie recipe was actually taught to me by Mike over at Pro Home Cooks, and I guess he discovered it from this guy named Charlie Anderson, who is a super badass baker. I checked out his channel, pretty awesome. This bread came out very well. I made a couple of minor tweaks myself. I'll have this recipe for you over on the website. In the world of Philly cheesesteak, you got 3 cheeses. You got American cheese, you got provolone, and cheese whiz, right? Or just whiz. Next, you got the onions, right? The Witt. When you get a cheesesteak, you might say American Witt or American without. That just means with or without onions. Then this is something that I picked up from eating an Angelo sandwich. They offer Italian long hot peppers, right? And oddly enough, they sell them over at my Korean market once again. So this is what they look like raw. I just roasted these off in the oven here. A little olive oil and salt. They look like this once they're roasted. And then they look like this once you chop them up. So is it traditional? No, it's not, because usually it's just cheese and onions, but this little like spicy pickled peppery condiment was very delicious. So we might add that onto our cheesesteaks. We'll see how we're feeling here. All right, let's make the beef. We'll start with a little tiny bit of oil there. Onions, just some nice coarsely chopped onions. Little pinch of salt. Some of that shreddy ribeye. I'm just gonna fill the bottom here. A little salt. Let's give this a stir. Just want to take this to like a well done. We can begin chopping. Our beef is right where we want it to be. It's nice and chopped up. We're gonna form it into a tube shape, about the same size as our buns. And we're gonna do cheese number 1. We're gonna lay that on and get it nice and cheesy. Oh yeah. Then we're gonna take this nice little dome piece here, pop it over. So steamy. Don't look at me, look at the steam.
I'm looking at myself.
What up? Oh, melty. Now what we're gonna do is take our bun and spiggity splooty that tootie. Try to get under there, give it a flipperonis. No beef left behind. We're gonna pop that right here. And then, you know, I'm chasing after that Angelo's vibe. It was just so good. I wanna add some of these Italian long hots just on the top here. gorgeous. All right, so that's sandwich one. It's got the provolone. I want to try all the cheeses to figure out which one's my favorite. I tried this in Philly a couple of years ago. I think I like the whiz, which is hilarious and garbage person-y of me, but you know, I gotta make sure, so we're gonna make all of them. Cheese whiz. You know, the most disturbing thing about this isn't the fact that we're literally squirting cheese out of a tube, but it says no need to refrigerate. Not even like, don't refrigerate, like no need. You can, you probably should, no need. It's okay. It tastes like the little pretzel pack with the fake cheese. It's like, I love that, to be honest. All right, what kind of design are we doing here? Oh, that came out way more intense than I thought it would. Oh, baby. I'm excited. Same thing. Oh, these are massive. Last but not least, Americano. Yet another delicious processed cheese. Beautiful. You know the drill. Let's try to get some of that cheese crust. Oh! This is a crazy picture right here. We got our American, our Cheese Whiz, and our provolone. Ooh. Taylor ham, egg and cheese, or pork roll, egg and cheese, depending on where you are in New Jersey. Now, Taylor ham or pork roll can kind of be thought of as, I don't know, like the granddaddy of Spam, right? Spam was invented in the 1930s, but pork roll actually predates it, and it was invented in the mid-1800s. What is pork roll? Well, pork roll is yet another American industry-made food, right? It's essentially a kind of, well, the ones I have come in this little pouch, but it's, again, a tubular meat product that is special, and people actually really, really love it. Now, up in North Jersey by New York, it's called Taylor ham, but down south near Philly, it's referred to as pork roll. It doesn't matter what you call it, this stuff is fantastic. It makes for a fantastic sizzly breakfast meat treat, and we're gonna build a sandwich with it. Let's do it. We're gonna cut these into rounds. And I kind of want these pieces a little on the thicker side. Usually in delis and stuff, these come in like much larger, kind of like actual like, you know, bologna or like mortadella sized. There's one store that I went to that I get this stuff from in Chicago that I know of that has it. You can't really find this outside of a lot of places on the East Coast in Jersey and Philly and stuff like that. So it is kind of actually like a delicacy. All right, so an important thing when you're doing this is to cut a little slit so that the meat doesn't kind of like curl up on you when you're searing it. And just like that, we're ready to sizzle. Yeah, flavor. Sizzle me timbers. So we don't need any olive oil because these are quite fatty. Also, the dirtier, not actually dirty, but the more used your plancha is, the better. Because when you walk into like a bodega or like an old school deli and you don't see grease on the plancha, run for the hills because that sandwich isn't gonna be worth your time. Oh yeah. Take these over here and set them aside. And we're gonna cook our eggotry in the exact same fat. All right, we're gonna cut that heat and we finna build. This sandwich starts with a Kaiser roll. All right, I got a recipe for you on my website. I made these. One's got poppy, one's plain Jane. Make what you want. I personally really like the poppy. Maybe we'll get it nice and warm on here into that grease. Look, we got everything on the same planche. Let's start by taking a few of our little guys here, popping that on, followed by more of our Taylor. And the final eggotry. Get off there. Take this thing off. Taylor ham, cheese and egg. Pork roll, cheese and egg. Whatever you want to call it, cheese and egg. The sandwich almost needs no introduction, the pastrami on rye. Made famous in the delis of New York. The sandwich was brought over by Romanian Jewish immigrants sometime in the 1880s. One of those Jewish immigrants would go on to open America's first Jewish deli that we know today is Katz's Deli on Manhattan's Lower East Side in the great city of New York. How many times am I gonna say it? I don't know, but it's fun. Nowadays, there are Jewish delis all over America, in small towns to big cities. Many of these places have their own specialties, but there are a few staple menu items that are pretty much on all menus across the board, and one of these is this sandwich. Let's make it. Pastrami. All right, so this sandwich is extremely bare bones and extremely simple, so the ingredients need to be very, very tasty. For starters, we have this seeded Jewish rye bread. It's not dark rye, it's got caraway seeds in it, which give it a very distinct, unique taste. Moving down the line here. So we're not in New York, we're in Chicago, but this is more or less very, very similar, if not the same, right? Pastrami. This is beef navel. Pastrami is usually made with navel, which is beef belly, not brisket. Though it is made with brisket a lot of the times and it's still very good. The process can take a while, but it is rewarding and quite a fun project. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link. I made a video all about that. But today I went to our boys' place in Manny's, picked some of this stuff up myself, and we're gonna use this. Gonna slice it. Look at this color. This is because it has been cured. So it's super pink. It's got that kind of like classic barky crust. All that intermuscular fat's gonna be super juicy and good. At Katz's, they actually slice their brisket by hand with a knife, the old school way. Nice and sort of thick, right? Medium thickness, maybe like that thick. I have plenty of knives. Most of them are actually put away, which is crazy. But I never get to whip this thing out. So I'm gonna use the meat slicer today. So yeah, look at this thickness here. That is pretty much what we're going for here. Medium thin. That is a pile of pastrami, my friends. That's why you love the navel. Right now, that looks weird and kind of cobwebby and gnarly. Get it nice and warm and that fat starts to render a little bit and melt and get succulent and delicious, which is the next step in what we're about to do. So I've found that the best way to reheat this stuff to make it taste like it does at the delis is to steam it. Get a load of this. Juicy. Yeah, steaming's the best way. You wouldn't want to like roast this or anything. It could dry out. Remember, it's cured, so it kind of has a tendency to be on the drier side. But let me tell you, this is anything but dry. Between all that fat, all these meat juices, this stuff is literally dripping with moisture. Let's build. All right, we got our rye bread. Horseradish must. It like literally is camouflaged. I can't even tell it's on there. Oh yeah. Followed by our juicy pastrami. Now the thing about deli sandwiches is that you really need to pile your meats high. This thing should be like unnaturally massive. Like you're gonna need to unhinge your jaw for this one. Top it off, the other piece of the rye with mustard, and that's that. I mean, it's the most simple sandwich ever. It's literally 3 ingredients. Okay, we can catch our breaths now. We have every single sandwich that we made. 5 sandwiches laid in front of us here. Every good sandwich needs a good bag of chips. Chip bar, chip buffet. Look at that color though, for real. Beautiful. We're gonna start with our Taylor ham. You know, I'm just gonna call it pork roll now. Pork roll, egg and cheese. Nice, that's a really good breakfast sandwich. All right, next up, I'm excited for this cross as well. Woo! Gotta have a deli pickle with the pastrami sandwich. I don't care if it's for the video or for pleasure, off camera, on camera, don't matter. Gotta have a Dr. Brown celery. The Philly cheesesteak in the style of Angelo's. God damn! That's crazy. Look at that thing. Come on. Yeah. I don't have words to describe that one. That's, I think that would make Tony Soprano happy, put it that way. Lobster roll. Now I chose to use the Connecticut style lobster roll, which is of course just lobster, drawn butter, chives, and it's served warm as opposed to the Maine, which is served cold. Dude. It's a butter bomb. It's a butter bomb with lobster on it, let's put it that way. How could that be bad? Okay, now comes the hard part. We gotta rate these things 1 through 5. 1, of course, being the champion, 5 being the loser of the group. All right, I hate doing this to all my children, but the answer is kind of obvious here, for me at least. Taylor ham / pork roll, egg and cheese. Now this is a great sandwich, don't get me wrong here. I love a bacon, egg and cheese, sausage, egg and cheese, Spam, egg and cheese, Taylor ham, egg and cheese, but it just wasn't that special. I mean, I even made a Kaiser roll, which is soft and perfectly and actually really, really good. And I do recommend you try making the sandwich, but juxtaposed against the other ones, this is gonna come in at the 5 slot. 4th place. I'm stress barking. It's gonna have to be the lobster roll. Now hear me out. Honestly, if I was taking a bite out of this and rating it on, say, I don't know, a coastal seaside Atlantic town, cold beer in my hand and a nice buttery, fresh, massive Maine lobster, my answer might be different. But for now, it's not, you know, again, compared to these other things, as satisfying and what I would want out of a sandwich most of the time. Lobster roll, 4th place. Okay, we're getting into the podium here. This is tough to me. This is hard stuff to me. The bronze. Pastrami on rye. Now, here's the thing about pastrami on rye. This is a wonderful, marvelous feat of man. Delicious cured peppered meat, nice bread, spicy mustard. I love the sandwich. However, my favorite version of this sandwich has a couple additional ingredients, but we're gonna save that for another video because, yeah, that's a whole big part of the conversation. But 3rd place, pastrami on rye, my guy. All right, this is the championship round. 2nd place and 1st place, silver and gold respectively. In 2nd place, ding, 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 the Philly. Hear me out. Though it took 2nd place, this is probably a top 5 for my favorite sandwiches in the entire country. You know, we got our hot pepper, so it is balanced. It's a fun, delicious, like meaty, I wanna be drunk when I'm eating it sandwich. 2nd place, Philly cheesesteak. Which means, give it up for your champion, the Italian submarine sandwich. The hero, the hoagie, the grinder that's not a grinder. This guy. Between the shreddis, the tomato, the banana peppers, the oregano, the oil, the vinegar, and of course it's all surrounded by this soft, amazing bread and that spicy hoagie spread pepper on the inside. I mean, it's not light, but it feels light, and it's insanely tasty and incredibly satisfying. When I think of going and grabbing a sandwich, I generally will default to something that looks like this, right? An Italian sub. There's really not much more to say here. Your champion, the Italian sub. Oh, dude, for the celebration, we can put like Jersey Shore and like dancing in it or something. If you think differently, you think I did something wrong, you think I did something right, if you just want to talk about life, let us know in the comments below. Would love to hear your opinions. Everybody's got one. That's the whole point of this thing, right? Also, keep in mind, I'm just one guy. I have one opinion, I have one life experience, so again, let me know what your experience is. Which one do you like best? TY, so much for watching. If you dug the video, like the video, sub to the chan if you're new to the chan. Next episode in this whole journey, we are going to the great Midwest right now, but we're standing here, Chicago, this area, and other areas. So let me know in the comments which sandwiches you think we should make. That's all I got for you, I believe. So until next time.